Big ticket job quotes are always fun to send out, but it even gets more fun to send out the quotes when you know what your competitors are charging. And in this video, I've got my buddy Jeff here with me, and we're quoting a massive apartment complex. And we're the last company to bid it. However, I got access to all of the bidding information just by effectively using the art of communication with my customer. Now I know what my competition is charging for the exterior painting as well as the parking lot maintenance work. We went out to this apartment complex to give out a bid to completely repaint the exterior of all the buildings and for crack sealing, seal coating, and parking lot striping. In total, this is a $109,000 ticket, and if you want to see how I was able to do this and how I break down my conversation that I've recorded when I spoke with the manager on site, then you have to be in the collective to access it, because this information is too good to give away for free on YouTube. In that class, I'm breaking down the recording inside of the program, so click the second link in the comment section and the description right under how to stripe to get access to that training. But before we get into that, if you're interested in parking lot striping and want to start a business that's highly profitable, we've got an 8-hour training course that covers striping, how to get customers, marketing material, pricing, and much, much more. Link will be the first pinned comment in the comment section and the description. Subscribe, hit the notification bell icon, like the video. Let's get to it.
All right, Jeff, so tell me what we're looking at.
Okay, so first thing you want to look at when you come out to any property like this is how dirty is it, what's wrong with it, and what do you need to do to get it done. So first, what we'd want to do, we'd want to come pressure wash all these buildings. These cracks you see on the wall here, you'd want to caulk all those, seal them, and then you'd want to start to jump on this wood and get all these seams caulked and all these holes filled. That way, whenever we prime it, they won't see any holes or cracks or anything like that, and it will prevent the wood from rotting.
Is there a specific type of paint we're gonna wanna use, or is two-color paint? Are we gonna make this all the same color, or?
So what we'd wanna do is we wanna go two-tone because it's already two-tone. So you'd wanna go with an exterior paint because it's a lot better than, you can't use interior outside, right? So you'd wanna get a good exterior paint, something like Super Paint or Emerald would be the top of the line paint. You could use the same paint on the wood and the brick, but yeah, you'd want to go with a good exterior paint, and that will give you a lot more life to your buildings.
So now how long would something like this last for? I mean, I know parking lot striping paint usually lasts 1 to 3 years if it's solvent-borne paint on low traffic. This is constantly exposed to the elements, much like traffic paint. If we paint this entire apartment complex and we do get this job, how long do you think that this paint is going to stay on here for?
So the better paint you get, the better life you'll get out of the paint. So with a good exterior paint, you'll get about 7 to 10 years out of it. And then you'd want to repaint after that, depending on how the weather's treated it.
Right. Now, you're a professional painter. You do this for a living. I sent you the other two quotes. I sent you the one for the lowest bid. I sent you the other one for the highest bid.
Yeah.
About what they're going to do, how they're going to prep it, things like that.
Yep.
So as a commercial painter, whenever we're putting together our estimate, tell me how you're going to craft your estimate to make it look better than the competition's while still allowing us to get a high ticket for this job.
So like you said, their estimates, they didn't put anything. All they put was we paint the walls and we paint the wood. That's not the route you want to go. On your estimate, you would want to put, so we would come in, fill all the cracks, pressure wash the building, fill any holes, spray the main color, mask it back off, and then paint the wood color. So there's many steps. So if you want to come here, well, look here, all these rails need to be masked off, and that needs to be in your estimate, okay? All these windows need to be masked off so we can spray them. So yeah, you want all of that in your estimate.
And then what about the guttering too? So there's guttering up there. Will we repaint that? Is that going to be included, or?
The guttering's already painted, so you would want to repaint that guttering. I would go basically how they did. So they did the top guttering, the wood color, and then to keep from having to mask this whole wall to spray this gutter the wood color, you transition it at the top. So that's probably what you'd want to do.
So I see that wood up there. It doesn't necessarily look like it's rotting, but it does seem to be chipping away. Would we replace that? Would we sand it down? What would we do?
So you would sand it. Well, first you'd scrape it. You'd scrape all the peeling wood off. You'd sand any spots that needed sanding, and then you would caulk it. If anything needs to be replaced, you pull it out and you replace it.
Now, what would be the first steps? You said pressure washing, but would you mask off everything a section at a time, or would you work on the entire building at the same time?
So what you would do is you'd do one building at a time. You'd have guys pressure washing in front of you, and you'd want to stay a building behind them while they're pressure washing in front of you. So you'd come behind them, you'd mask all the windows, and you'd mask the handrails off. That way you don't get any paint on any windows. We're not getting any paint on anything, and we're covering our bases.
100%. I mean, this job is absolutely massive. I think they want the brick done, the exterior brick, and I mean, it was absolutely massive. I think one of the quotes was 40 grand, supplies included, and the other one was, what was it, 82? 82,000 with the paint supplies included. And so we came out and met on the site and just looking at it. And now, what do you think are going to be some of the difficulties about doing a job like this? Is it going to be mobilizations? Is it going to be a lot of people, work schedules? Tell me what some of the challenges one might face with dealing with a job of this size.
So your biggest problem is getting to these high points and getting back here and getting up to these taller points. So your next problem would be, do all these people want their windows covered up all day while we're painting? Probably not. So do you want to do one side first and then pull that paper and mask the other side? These are things you need to think about whenever you're doing a big job like this. Now, cars out in the parking lot, while we're spraying, we want them to move their cars away from the building because they're going to be overspray all over their cars, especially if it's windy. So that's another thing you want to look out for.
And so what about, say, for example, I see, let's say this apartment complex isn't as nice as some of the other ones that I come across, but there is some landscaping. I mean, is it just industry standard that overspray is going to get on these rocks and these bushes, or do we cover that up too?
No, we cover it. We don't want paint on anything.
Really interesting.
So what we do, say we're going to paint this wall here. We lay drops out to here. We try to get people to move their cars away, and we use a low pressure tip. That way we reduce overspray as much as possible. But we don't want paint on any of these bushes. We don't want paint on any of these doors, any of these windows, or any of these rocks.
Perfect, perfect. And now we talked about this as far as the pricing is concerned. I mean, since the other estimates were so bare in their approach of the steps of what they were going to take place and what was going to get done and how they were going to do it, setup fees, mobilizations, things like that, none of that was included. It almost seems like the companies that we're competing against essentially just rushed to put out this estimate.
Yeah.
And so I think the differentiating factor between what we're going to do is we're going to put together a video sales presentation proposal. We're going to fly a drone over this complex. We're going to script our sales presentation. We're going to put B-roll footage. We're going to put a 4-phase action plan. We're going to break down this entire parking lot with service descriptions of what we're going to do. And if you guys are interested in learning how we do things like that, getting high ticket jobs, be sure to sign up for the Collective School program. It'll be the second link in the comment section and the description, where we teach people how to land high ticket jobs, sales presentations, all this sort of stuff that helps us get this high ticket stuff, or the high ticket jobs. Now, Jeff, if we can we just walk through this apartment complex and kind of point out some defects that you see from previous contractors, if you're able to do that for us?
Yep, absolutely. So the first thing I see is the way they did this stucco repair here. So if you can see this stucco repair, what they should have done was skim this whole wall, which granted, some companies don't want to pay you to do that. So you got to do what you got to do sometimes. But you would want something like that to be a lot smoother. Looks like they did it with their fingers, you know. Stuff like this. So the paint they used on these handrails, if you'll look, it's peeling. They didn't use a direct to metal paint. They probably used a regular exterior paint, and that's why this is all peeling like this.
Now, are we going to have to scrape that? Is that going to go into the labor cost? We're going to scrape it, or are we pretty much just going to put a DTM and it's going to hold to it?
No, we're gonna scrape all this off, which it's not hard. You just, you know, look, as you can see, it just comes off. So you just take a scraper, scrape it all off best you can, and then you'd want to paint it with a direct to metal paint. It's already painted, so you wouldn't really have to go direct to metal because it's already painted, but that would give us a lot better finish and it would give us a lot more durability on our product.
Okay, and now let me ask you this. Over here, they were having some complaints about the stairs, and no matter what they put down, it seems to flake up. Can we go look at that down there?
Yeah.
It's on every set of stairs. I think that they used not really much of a durable paint on it because he said they've painted it several times this year and it's flaked up.
Yeah.
Anything else that you're seeing?
So I'm seeing this. You would almost like for these stairs, you'd almost want to use like they have a product that's called Porch and Crete. They have a couple products. Is this what you're talking about? Is this peeling? Mm-hmm. So all your traffic is going to wear that paint down. But if you went with a thicker porch paint or something like that, you would be able to prevent that. And also what's probably doing it is water's probably gathering on these stairs, and that's why it's wanting to peel, because water's sitting on top of that. So really you've probably got a drainage problem or a runoff problem.
Oh, I see, huh? Because is that where the water's coming from, or is that a vent?
I assume that's a vent, but yeah, so
sure enough, because I see that mold that's on that ground. Surely it's water going right here.
Water's probably sitting all in top of here, in here, and then once it gets high enough, it's just sitting on these stairs. Perfect. And that's probably why it's doing it.
Perfect, perfect. Now, anything else that you see that that we point out that we could put in our estimate to give us a competitive advantage to beat people that we're competing against? Anything that we could put on there, just filler words or educating the customer? What can we do to really set ourselves apart already from what we're planning on doing?
So really what you want to do is go over every detail. You'll want to put everything in your bid that you're going to be doing while you're there. So covering all this metal, making your bids sound professional. You want it to look professional, sound professional, and you want them to want to hire you.
All right, if you can, just look at these green steps. This is something that the customer complained about.
Yep.
He said no matter what he does, when he repaints these, it always flakes up. Can you kind of give me an idea? Maybe he's just using a really cheap paint, or?
I would assume it's that, or they're not prepping it right. Because when you do something like this, you want to wash it all the way, and usually you'd want to put like a muriatic acid or something to acid wash it. That way you get every speck of dirt out of there before you put a concrete paint on it.
That's great, that's great. And now is our estimate, is it just the buildings, or are we including these pillars?
Now, so if we're shooting main color, it would really not be a problem to come over here, mask that, and just shoot this pillar.
Okay, okay, perfect.
So what you'll want to check is you'll look at all the soffits, all the woodwork, and see any wood that needs to be replaced. Now, this is pretty good. I don't see very much wrong with this type of stuff, but on the back side over there, I did see some wood that was falling off and rotting away. So you'd want to put that, you'd want to check stuff like that. You'd want to check all these gutters, make sure these gutters have all their pieces. They're not missing bottoms, they're not missing spouts. You'd want to check that. You'd want to check all these windows, make sure that these windows are okay before you mask them. Like if you look here, all these windows are cracked out up the side. So we would want to tape and paper that, and then we'd want to caulk all those gaps. That way it looks really good for them.
And so did you calculate the square footage? I mean, like, you're in the painting world, I do parking lots. Is this a pretty big job?
It's a huge job.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a huge job. I wouldn't really want to go for like a square foot bid because these are all linear walls. This isn't square footage. This is linear feet.
Okay, okay.
You know,
You can tell that I don't know nothing about painting.
Hey, but yeah, something like that. This. If you do a square foot bid, all you're bidding is basically if you were to paint these floors. That's your square footage. All these walls are linear feet.
That's why that one guy was 40 grand.
Yeah.
Wow, because on his
Exactly.
bid it said square foot.
Yeah.
Interesting. That's smart.
Yep.
See, I
And
learned
that's
something.
why I saw that. That's why I sent you that message this morning. Like, what the heck?
Yeah.
So if you look here, all these slats need to be nailed back in and caulked. Luckily, they're not rotten, so you don't have to pull those off. But every one of these needs to be caulked and sealed, or it's just gonna keep doing that.
Interesting. Okay, great. Anything else you can think of?
These pergolas, I do not know if these are included or not. I would assume so, because they are worn and they kind of look bad. Now these are stained, which means that either they'd have to go back with an oil-based stain, or if they wanted them painted, we'd have to go with an oil-based primer, and then we could put any color paint over it that they wanted. But something like this, that's something you need to watch, because raw wood and stain needs to be primed with oil for exteriors. I mean, these doors, you'd want to prep all these doors to spray. All of them need to be washed. We'll do that while we're pressure washing, but you'd want to mask all these handles, and you'd have to back mask it because our main color will be done already.
Oh, wow. So this is, I mean, this is, not only is this an absolutely massive job, but
Yeah.
this is going to take a nice little minute, correct?
For sure. I'd say probably 8 weeks.
Wow,
You
okay.
know.
And that's 8, now you do 8 weeks, because some people just come through here and they might get it done in 3 weeks and then blow past it, but then there's issues. But the reason why
sure.
it might take you guys 8 weeks is because you're gonna take your time, you're gonna do it right, you're gonna make sure each individual building is properly prepped,
Yep.
cleaned, and then the paint is applied and maximized for longevity. And so do you just tell your customers it's gonna take longer? So do you under promise and then over deliver, or you intentionally make sure it takes that long, that way you can maximize results?
Well, no, we'd under promise to over deliver. That way, we're not kicking ourselves in the butt.
Yeah.
Because if I tell them 5 weeks, which we could do it, no problem. But if I tell them 5 weeks and then I'm here 7 weeks, they're gonna have a problem with that.
Right.
You know, so we want to give ourselves enough wiggle room to be able to actually complete it the right way and get it done in a timely manner.
Perfect, perfect. All right, so we've essentially walked a building. You talked about everything that we needed to know, and prep work and covering buildings, masking things. Anything else that you can think about to tell people who are going to watch this video? Because the majority of the people that watch my channel are not commercial painters.
Yeah.
And so I'm essentially just subbing you out to do this. Anything else that you can think to put in here that somebody watching this might need to know?
Well, you'd want to be aware of all the people that live here, for one. You don't want to be in people's ways. You'll want to do these doors and stuff pretty quickly. That way you're not blocking people out of their homes. Most people don't want their windows covered all day. So you'll want to go through and basically mask, paint it, and pull it. That way people have light in their houses, they can get in their doors, and they're not blocked outside or left inside.
Perfect. Now we're spraying this entire thing, correct?
Yes. Yep.
Perfect, perfect.
Yep. You'll want to spray everything.
Yeah, I think we're going to get it. I mean, when I seen those other two competitors, and then any large ticket item, because I'm going to be doing the parking lot, the crack fill, seal coating, and the striping. You're going to be doing the apartment complex. Y'all, this is, in total, it's going to be a $79,000 bid for the exterior painting of all these buildings. It's going to be a $30,000 bid for the parking lot. Altogether, it's going to be a $109,000 ticket. And one of the wonderful things about knowing how to sell people is the simple fact that it's all about the art of communication. When I talked to this lady and I walked the property with her, by the way that I was able to articulate my words, I walked out of here having 2 different bids from the competitors for the exterior paintings, 3 different bids from competitors for the parking lot work. And it's all about how you position yourself and then leverage those conversations that you have with people that are in control of budgets, in control of the property, in control of things that you can have access to that information to, that's going to help you essentially charge more but still remain competitive, allowing you to get the job. If we get this job, it's going to be a $109,000 ticket.
Yep. Which is actually very fair. It's a very fair price.
All right, perfect. So anything else you can think of?
No, we can walk and see if we can see anything.
Let's do it.
And point it out. You want to go this way?
Yeah.
We'll kind of
I'm
go
following
back
you.
towards our trucks. See, stuff like this, that'll need to be scraped. You know, it's chipping off. They obviously didn't use a very good paint. You'd almost want to block fill this or something, which block filler is like a concrete paint for not concrete, but block walls, brick, stuff like that. It seals that brick in that way, because this is just an exterior paint, I would assume. So really they should have put a lot thicker stucco coat on here. You can see they just kind of came in and just skimmed this brick wall. What you'd want to do is put a lot thicker coat and you'd get a lot better covering and it would look a lot better.
So they essentially pretty much just kind of did a bad job.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I can see it because some areas are smooth and some are not.
Yes.
Why is that? I mean,
It could be the way they mixed their stucco. It could have been the tools they were using to apply the stucco. So it doesn't look, like you say, some of it's smooth, some of it's really rough. So it also could have been that brick was uneven when they did it. So they kind of just filled what they could in.
to make it even.
Yeah.
Wow.
But as you can see, I think the way they mixed their stucco was one of the problems, because you can tell this is two different batches of stucco. You see, you can see the difference and you can see where it changes and where they changed batches. So that's one batch, and as you can see there, it changes to another batch there.
Wow.
One's thicker than the other, one has more, we call it boogers in it.
Wow.
But yeah,
Yeah, that's interesting.
down here they just, they just kind of left big globs of it. Which
Wow.
then, so you do all this, what's the complex supposed to do now? Now that you've done this, now what are their options, right?
I guess it's almost like one of those things, if you really wanted to do it right, you essentially have to completely remove all of this, huh?
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow. That's interesting.
And here we can see again, these steps are peeling, like they said. Obviously there's water sitting here, that's why this is doing that. So all of that will want to be scraped. But I think that's the problem. I think there's water sitting there.
Water retention, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, great.
Which, I don't know if they have like a drain system under here. It doesn't look like it, but that would probably help a little bit. But what do? Do you pay $1 million for someone to come put drains in, or
Yeah.
it's kind of what do you do,
I guess you just keep repainting it, huh? Okay, great. So we covered the building, we covered the rails, we covered the doors, the windows, steps, masking everything, even talked about the sloppy work that previous contractors have done. Do we point this out to them to establish quality control, or is this one of those things where you just pretty much just keep sweeping it under the rug?
I think they know, but you would definitely want to let it be known. That way you're covered in the long run. Because you don't want to paint this and then they come out here like, oh, look at this, look at all these bumps and look at,
Yeah.
So you definitely want to say something about it.
Okay.
Now, do you beat them down about it? No. But you at least let them know what's been done and what can be done to help.
Perfect, perfect. All right, Jeff, thanks for coming on the channel, bro.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys.